It should be there. Right, so I'll double check the sound.
We on?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I'm just double checking the sound, and we'll be away. As far as I'm aware, we are. So carry on.
Right. Well, hello there. Time for another Monday live stream. We're a few minutes late, but could say that's how I roll. Got a lot of paint here. Work from painting last night, so it's all still pretty good. I'm going to scoop it all up and mix it together into a general kind of mush. So that's my average colour from yesterday's painting, which is actually not too far off the colour I can use for the background here. Needs a bit of yellow in it, so that's useful. Got this grey here as well. That up too. To do that, the Slade so as not to waste paint, and just scoop up the whole palette. It'd make this mushy grey colour, which they'd use as a ground for the next painting.
Oh.
Then people were taught. It's probably one particular painter's useful little habit, and it became a sort of a standard practice, simply because they were the one teaching at the time.
Are there any sort of standard practices that you try and implement into people or instill into people?
Oh yeah, loads. I mean, a lot of them are sort of fairly self-evident, I think, which is.
Oh yeah, but with a lot of these things, I always find that self-evident things are only self-evident once you actually know them.
Yeah, but I'm okay. Yeah, maybe not like that's not the same as obvious, but there's lots of things that. I mean, every artist is to a certain degree self-taught. In every important way, you're self-taught, because in terms of the decisions you make, for them to be yours, they have to be things that you try out and you play with. The only way to be completely self-taught is to exist in a vacuum. But if you've ever seen a painting, there's some idea in your head of how it might have been done. That idea might be wrong, and you find out in what way it's wrong when you attempt it. And so in that sense, there's this sort of, I don't think there's any artists that don't have that self-correction mechanism. There's no such thing as a competent artist who is just doing what they're told. You're not going to get, there's just no way I think you can get good results by just following the instructions, unless it's so precise that it becomes like a paint by numbers, and then it's not really your painting. So you're just doing someone else's. You know, get this color, put it in that space. Don't go over the lines. Don't ask me any questions. You know that. Then you're not the artist. You're just a.
You're a color vessel, aren't you?
A workman, really.
Yeah.
Which, you know, if there were a job going, I wouldn't mind that necessarily. But yeah. So, but the point is, there's certain ways problems get solved and certain ways they don't, and people discover the same things again and again. A lot of the habits I have, I don't know because they were taught to me. They're common practice, but it's just is how the paint works. So
we have Josie with us.
oh, Josie.
Hi both. A guilt-inducing still life then. ...
Well, yeah, a half-full packet of biscuits would have probably been better as a subject matter, but that's a rare thing around here.
Feel free to go and get a tea and some biscuits whilst you're watching this evening.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think there's anything. There's nothing guilty about a digestive biscuit, surely. I can't think of a much more puritanical biscuit other than maybe a rich tea.
Yeah, well, rich teas are just like paper, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, a rich tea is for a biscuit for the person who feels guilty enjoying themselves.
Wants to punish themselves.
Yeah, funny they could make it a bit less sort of a bit less of a sensory experience.
Yeah.
I'd like it to be more bland, a bit less sugar. You know, I mean, you couldn't have less flavour, I don't think, if you tried. But there you go. Go in the box. Yes, last bit of scraping. And for anyone who doesn't know, this is my mindful preparation for doing a painting, scraping of the palette. It's not me being disorganized, so don't even suggest that. Yeah, so just getting my head around it.
I've just had a quick view of chocolate on though. It's hobnobs, like chocolate hobnobs. That's peak.
That's a biscuit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not mucking around.
Packets of those seem to disappear in my house. They're just there 1 minute, gone the next.
Yeah, I mean, I've discovered that my your unconscious can do various interesting things. You know, it can organize your thoughts when you dream, but mine can eat biscuits while the other me is still awake. It's just, well, where did they go? Well, pretty sure it wasn't me. I have no memory of eating any of those, but now they're gone. So, and there's no one else here.
I'm really sad that there's none left.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't buy biscuits now simply because I know what happens. I know I won't get the benefit. They'll just be gone, and conscious me won't remember. So really, I'm just buying my unconscious biscuits to eat out of some kind of nervous habit. They're probably not healthy.
And also Dory Pete, who said, hello, James.
Oh, hello, Dory. Oh, well, I'm glad people are finding their way to YouTube and to the comments bit. Or
that was on Facebook.
Oh, right. Okay. Well done. Well, finding your way to the comments bit anyway. So yeah, it's good to know.
Either way,
it's good to know who's watching, because so often it turns out a lot of people watch this, but secretly, you know who you are, covertly hiding. Show yourselves.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to chuck a bit of drawing in this. That a bit wonky? No, straight enough. I kind of let the biscuit packet settle. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. It would be tempting to sort of try different crumples and bits and pieces. I like the way it leans, like a Tower of Pisa. Imagine Galileo dropping crumbs off the edge. Familiar with that story? Yeah, you are. Well done.
Incredibly condescending in 3 words.
Oh, just glad that, you know, sometimes I try and have normal conversations with things that I think would be common knowledge, and I get nowhere with it. So, and a lot of those conversations are with you. There you go. Yeah. So it's nice. It's nice that we can, yeah. Right, brown and green. So I did a green background before when I did that very red picture. I think I'll do the same now, see what happens. So I'm just going to be thinking in terms of shapes. That shadow is definitely an important shape. So I've got this sort of light bit in the middle, this sort of other shape going around. So if I sort of put this in, sort of in that direction. There we are. I'm just sort of finding my way into some basic shapes. I want to make sure it all fits in. It's got a bit of space top and bottom, so probably a bit smaller than I was expecting. That's the light shape. There's a biscuit around here somewhere. That shadow actually goes off in that direction. I'll scrabble this back in a bit. Lights and darks. Bit of horizon. Sometimes I'll just do a sort of a flat background. You know, like in a photo shoot or something where you just have a sort of flat curved sheet, so there's no horizon lines or anything behind. But it does seem to sort of bug people a little bit. Don't they always like it? So yes, Story does a lot of hard work for Bruton Art Society, which is
amazing,
fantastic stuff. And they're very good to me as well. So I move all this over a little bit. I think that's too central. It needs to come this way a bit. And they've been kind enough to mention the live stream in the newsletter. So, yeah, be expecting loads of people to attempt to tune in tonight, get onto YouTube, go, I don't really understand how this computer works. I hate these things. Give up, do something more interesting instead. But at least we can imagine that they tried. Okay. Around a little bit. I'm sort of playing around a little bit at this point. I'm not sure what goes where. Right. Yeah, come down a bit, but that's okay. I've got room. I'm being really vague and just sort of finding my way into it and just having a bit of a play at this point. But once I've got some idea of what goes where, I can start mixing a few colours. Biscuits. Oh. Well, I haven't put any gloves on. I don't think I'll need to avoid being messy today. He says, famous last word, isn't it? Move that to one side. Might want to dip into that to make a slightly more fluid, darker mix later on. So nice to have that green as a reference. A lot of the time I'll put things in the other spaces, well, some kind of tonal wash like this, but not today. Background's interesting. I need a starting point, and maybe that bright red, maybe it wouldn't do any harm to have a little bit of that just as a reference. very orangey, yellow in there.
Are we doing mixing for a while?
No, it's just a one-off colour.
Okay, cool.
You know what? Let's just use the red and the yellow. Right. Kind of maximum red. A bit of white in it before, but it immediately starts to wash it out. My brushes are quick rinse, so I have to take them out and dry them before I carry on, but as I go along. Let's just put a little dash of that here. So I've got a reference for it. Maybe a bit there as well. Not thick enough. That's a bit more orange than what I'm seeing, so I can change that. But as a placeholder, that's fine. Keep that red. If I get the relationship to darker red, you know, I will mix that. I'm going to do it as a brush mix. This is still maximum chroma because I'm only using cadmium red and alizarin there. I probably will want a little bit of burnt sienna just to make a slightly duller version. Go dark enough. Probably will. That's going to be shapes here. Here. And there's a more orange one next to it. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that'll do it. The surface is still sort of slightly damp, I don't know if that's the word. A little bit white spirity. That isn't a word either. Sneak in here a little bit. That'll do for that. Yeah. Yeah, so now I should be able to judge whether my background colours are accurate or not. The brush. I'm not starting with the big brushes here, but do the same with the blue, I think. Gonna need some more of this in a bit, but quite purpley. Needs to be a bit more purpley than that. I was watching a documentary the other day about Pantone, because that's the kind of interesting guy I am. And it's sort of a fascinating thing that it was of the moment when it came out, there needed to be sort of standardized practices for print so that businesses that had a signature color, as it were, could rely on that color always turning up the same, even from different printers and at different times. And also block printing, you know, you have to pay more for the ink, but it's only one run through the press, kind of thing. Yeah, it was kind of fascinating. It's sort of out of date now in a weird way, but yeah, technology flips it. But it's still useful in many ways to sort of have that reliability, especially in print. But it can't really translate to the digital world very well. But it was a very interesting thing about that. The way a specific color can prompt you to think of a particular brand when it's done right. Like the Barclays green. You know, it's that green. It's always that green. Or is it blue? Probably cause some arguments, but it's that particular color at that particular chroma, and it will have a Pantone number. And not they have a copyright on that exactly. They can't. They might be able to, you know, if you started a bank and you use the same green color, in the same font, they'd probably have a case. And you'd probably have to change those two things.
So it's like the I guess a little bit. You know about the eBay sign, which is now multicolored.
Yes, they had to do it bit by bit.
Yeah, it was originally a single color, and they had to then change. Like they changed it to multicolor, and nobody then understood what the brand was.
Yeah.
And then they reverted, left it for a few months, and then converted one letter by letter. As human beings, we were fine with that.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a bit of blue then.
Yeah, a bit like the Facebook blue as well, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know, because doesn't really need to turn up in print, the whole Pantone business model doesn't really get to do a lot with it. So you wonder how long it's got.
Well, white is a very big thing of Apple, isn't it? Because that's physical as in print stuff and things that you look at, but equally the products that they produce are white when they were traditionally always black. The headphones...
I assume they're beige. They always used to be beige, these things. Computers were beige plastic for the longest time.
But headphones, as an example, they were always black.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then Apple turned around and went, no, we're going to do them white. And it was, you could almost spot them in anybody's ears.
Yes, when you see the white headphones, you'd think of that. Yeah. No, I do know what you mean. Okay, I'm just playing around a little bit with a couple of these blues, and I'm going to go to a darker one. And once I've got these, I can see what colours there are. Talking about sort of habits, these clearly defined colours on the palette are just a starting point. They're not. I'm not expecting them to be correct or to work perfectly. I'm expecting to have to change all of them. But when I've changed them, I can go back to the palette. And so using the palette in an effective way to make your colour decisions is one of those sort of key skills that I think all painters develop in their own way. And it's not that you have to do it with the palette so much, but you need a reference. You know, you need a way of checking. So if you don't have a way of checking, there's almost no way of knowing. It becomes very, very difficult indeed. Or there's an awful lot of trial and error, which again, you can do that and it works. There's nothing wrong with it. But for me, that would take a long time. And if I want to get painting done in 2 hours or less. Got a red brush, I've got a blue brush. So the identity of these colours is going to be quite important for it to look like McVitie's digestive biscuits, which is what they are.
I guess equally though, with a packet screwed up, then knowing it's digestive is then solely based on the colours, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, hopefully there's just a sort of a familiarity there. It's an interesting thing with crisps, isn't it? Is that one brand of crisps, salt and vinegar, will be blue, and cheese and onion will be green, and then something like Walker's the other way around. And that's annoying. Can we have standard colours, please, for flavours? There's no logic to it, so why would you think about that? I'm going to go back into this red, and it is going to have to get bit darker.
I feel I need to do a cat cam, James. Look at that.
Luxuriating. What a life.
Cam. Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
There's a fire just in front of him. That will have boosted viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, you can rely on anything. Yeah, I'm sort of hitting the red a bit now. So I'm going to try a bit of this background colour. We'll use a bigger brush. I don't need a 10. Would that be too much? No, actually, at this stage, I don't think it would. And let's see if that creates the colour relationship I need. It's a start.
Do you think you could put the filter on the...
Oh, it's gone shiny. Now we're hoping the camera doesn't switch itself off halfway through this time. Okay, yeah. Fiddle too much with edges if I'm not careful. Get that in. There you are. Colour-wise, that's fine. I'm all right with that. This pale blue for the foreground needs to relate to that. A certain amount darker. And a bit duller. I'll use a bit of this grey black. I'm looking at that relationship and that feels pretty good. I won't know until it goes on, and even then I might have to change it later on. If anything, it might be a little bit dark, but that's okay. I'd rather put some light into it later. That looking. I haven't done a shadow version, but back to that. Get a mass of colour in so I can see these things together. Yeah, there's definitely extra light going to go into that bit, but I'm only putting on a very shallow layer of paint here. It'd be easy to add more pigment to it, work into it. There we are. Just with a brush mix a little bit of that green. This purpley blue. I'll make a shadow colour. All guesswork, just see what it does. Probably not far off. No, it needs to be a bit, probably needs to be a bit redder. black. Browner even. So I'm already going into brush mixes, but yeah. Yeah. There we are. Going in there somewhere. That blue. Looking. Close enough. The other thing I'm going to need is some of this shadow colour that goes into this beige in the background. And I'll put a bit of that grey. And it's going to be a bit warmer than that. This is really just this might end up being okay. No, it's going to be way darker than that. Back to the knife. More of that. With burnt sienna in it. And then a whole chunk of black. Oh, that's suitably darker. Looks the same once it goes on. Yeah, I can darken that as I go, but yeah, it's going to have to get a lot darker. Last little bit, I'm going to want some of these browny yellows for the biscuit. Bit of that orange. Go for a shadow colour. A light one. We've got to relate to these other colours here, so see how they do. I'll start with the lights. I'm going to go in like that. Oh, already mixing on the surface. Needs to be much brighter than that background. So either this isn't quite the right colour yet, but it does feel it relates to the other colours of the biscuit packet. Okay. Or that background needs to change and get greyer. Orange or that grey to put in it. Yeah, these bits need to be brighter. I'll get away with a lot more yellow in there, I think. Because Right. Too soon for that. Bit on here at the bottom as well. This is going to have more colour go on top of it. This really is just like a ground in a way. And oh, hang on. Bit of light in there. Light at the back. The ellipse of the biscuit is going to be very important.
But we had that conversation about the roller sellotape from the other week, didn't we? And that actually it was kind of quite important for you at that particular point in the painting to paint the ellipse.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to look at it as abstract shape still, but there's the part of me that's the viewer, which also has to be quite awake and alert to the idea that it needs to look like a circle without me sort of having to make an effort from the viewing point of view. There's artists that would stop here. I am not among them. But there's a certain amount of the job has been done at this point. No, but so some of this sort of light on the inside. Bright lights to come up afterwards. I'm sort of straight in with brush mixes here. You can get away with to a certain extent when you're working on a panel. Don't have to sort of load the paint up to defeat the texture of the canvas. Canvas would require slightly a paint loading. I might still do this stage, but then I'd work on it afterwards. You know, with building up certain areas of paint to so now I'm realizing this this original background color I made not dark enough. Because there's already a layer of paint there, probably go a little bit darker. I'm going to go a bit redder as well, just to give a bit of sympathy for going on behind. Mixing on the surface here, which is why a fairly shallow layer of paint to begin with was a good idea, because it gives me somewhere to go. If there's too much paint there, I could always lift it off. Like that. Put that back on the palette. Put it up again. Oh, now I've got a ready one and a grey one. Although they look pretty much the same. See what that does. There we are. That's going to give me a bit more tonal range to play with. very subtly different, but it's an important difference. Means that shadow needs to go even darker. A little bit of serration there. Fun little trick. Down here. Let that be a little bit lighter the other side. Not by much, but actually that makes the shadow more subtle, but I quite like that. Hang on.
Susan Tressida.
Oh,
Gosh,
hi,
that
Susan.
looks like it's hard to paint. All the best from Sue.
Oh, well, thank you, Sue. Okay, that's kind of a start, isn't it? I'm not seeing the same contrast from here to here as I am there, which means I'm going to have to probably make these colours a little bit duller because I've kind of gone to maximum red, you know, so at least I know where that is. But if we go to the palette cam.
Palette and subject, or palette and canvas?
Palette and canvas, I guess. And hopefully we can kind of connect these two things together. Yeah, rather than just using the one brush, which I could do. It's a different way of working. I've got a few different brushes on the go, and they sort of represent different groups of colours, which for the purposes of speed and organisation are kind of quite effective. But yeah, not completely necessary. So yeah, you can see sort of my background colours, and they've all changed ever so slightly as they go along. This has just got a bit darker. See the slightly lighter colour underneath. I'm going to blur that into the blue here. I don't want hard edge there. Be easily ignorable. There is a lighter blue going to go in as well. So it's a real trade-off here about how to make these colours play. That's going to stay the background colour. I'm going to try turning up these yellows, and again, brush mixes. That's the brightest yellow I can do. And there's a few places that's going to go in. Really? Yeah. No, I don't want to go all the way to that just yet. I'll do a little halfway one here. Let's pop a little bit of that in there. There. That edge between those two things. Bit of the edge of that. This. Give it in there. Yeah, so that change from light to dark is a bit more visible now. top of here. Dash of that. Too yellow. It is. Bit here. That, oh, the wrong way around really. That is a bit of a colourful. And it up even more here. Orange. Where else? Here. Bit more of that orange. Well, sunny digestive biscuit colour. Bit of the quite fun. While I put that on the brush, I'm going to do a little bit of highlight colour that goes around the edge of that biscuit. That'll do. There's doing it twice. Oh yeah. Go back in with not too much. But yeah. So browny yellow. And it goes under here. That's all right. Right, I'm not going to overdo this. What else? Oh, let's go back to my blue brush. So other places where that blue goes, dark blue. I'm going to stick with that for the moment. Going to give me an edge against there. Will show me a fold. Blue at the bottom there. Go. Bit here. That's as much of the dark blue as I want actually. There's a lighter blue that's coming in later, so I don't want to overload the surface so that that can't get a look in. No, that'll do for that. Okay, let's go to this lighter blue. Yeah. Still go a bit brighter than this even. Bit. Ooh. Somewhere between the two. Just here. And this sort of change of this interruption of colours and shapes should explain the crumpledness of the packaging quite nicely. Right. No, I'm not happy with that. So I do need to mix another colour. What do I do with my palette knife? Did I throw it on the floor? Yeah, of course I did. Okay, white, Scotch mirror. A lot brighter. And a bit of alizarin in it. Dip it slightly towards the purple. Clean colour. It's too light, but I don't know until it goes on. The excess off this brush does. Might look darker when it goes on. No. Okay. There's some high chroma colors in here. Now that's just as dark as this, but it's more intense. Like that. Definitely want a bit of brighter blue there. No, it's still not right. It's going to be somewhere in between that and this. New mix turning up there. Oh, this kind of fine tuning of colours is something that I can only do once there's a. There we are. Still not, no, still not purple enough. You know what? I'm going to mix a bit of white with some roughly the same tone. Shift that a little bit towards the purple. It's quite possible that having more than one blue will help create the effect. There. Good. Bit in here. Yeah, I can see where I'm going to go across to the other blue. Yeah. I'm going to go in here like this. I'll go across to the other blue. More colour in that. A bit more in. And these are these sort of funny little abstract shapes as they stick together. Give me, yeah, give me some useful things to work from. Now this is before the highlights and things go on, but go on they will. And that dark I already put down is already quite helpful. Last bit, I'm just going to use some transparent colour, some ultramarine, and some alizarin.
528, James.
Cool. I'm going to really load that in here. That's going to give me some extra dark darks. There as well. Quite happy with those. Hint of it here. Not getting too fiddly. Oh, bit of lighter blue just on the edge of that. Oh, you see it sort of coming in, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
There's more to do with brightening this up, but certainly up there. Yeah, there's some fun bits going on. 5 to 8, did you say?
Yep.
Cool. Well, I'll do another few minutes on this. Bit of a lighter background on that. Put this red. Well, it's going to be turn that up. Oh yeah, that works. Keep loading this brush though. Don't want to overdo it because I am going to have to put some, not exactly writing, but something that, you know, looks like the design of the the graphics on the packaging. Go there. Yeah, a little bit extra of that redness. Might feel like it's as light over here, but it isn't quite. There's still light bits. Hmm. I've got that darker red on. I can put the corner on here. Put it around there. Anything else? Oh yeah. So while I've got this sort of violety colour, or a bit more of that. Yeah, I can carve out a space where some of these shapes go, but also kind of prepare them for the highlights. Yeah, that's 8 o'clock. Kind of already highlights, I think. Where else? A few little shapes. Now, if I put these shapes in, when I go over it with the white, any sort of little gaps kind of be forgiven if that isn't quite as dark.
Dory's just asked, will you do the writing?
Yes, but not as writing. I'll do it as abstract shapes of colour. This background isn't blue enough. I'm seeing that now. So yes, I'm discovering little things as I go along. I wonder if I should deal with that now. Could do, because I've got blue on the knife. Didn't really need that white, because these are about the same tone. And that's going to lighten it a bit as well. Okay. So without changing the tone, I'm making that a bit bluer. Could do with making it lighter as well, though. Oh, there we go. So yeah, don't be afraid to send messages. Thank you to Dory, Susan, and Josie for chipping in. Always appreciated. Yeah, good opportunity. Well, say quite often. Sometimes a chat gets going that I don't really have any part in, which I quite like. I like the idea that people can sort of have a little discussion about stuff.
There's also, like, in the back of my mind, there's this the group of people that watch that don't pipe up are
Yeah.
like they're these rages that don't type, but they're screaming at the computer screen going,
Fill
"What
that
is
bit
he
in."
doing? That's
Yeah.
not the right colour."
If you're furious at me, don't be afraid. Actually, no, I don't know how. I don't think I react. I think it's something I need to work on. I don't react well to challenges, because it's quite useful if someone says that looks wrong to me. But if it comes across as an accusation, I will prove you wrong. I'll have to, or I'll suffer in shame for days at the realization that I made a mistake in public, and that would be agonizing. And that's something I really need to get over. We were discussing this today, that because most of making art is making, and nothing. I'm never really happy with anything I do, and it's all full of errors. But hopefully, there's a little bit of discovery in it, just the recognizing that something isn't spot on, figuring out what you need to do to improve it. And and taking that challenge on. That's sort of what this is all about, and that's a big part of the pleasure of painting. Yeah, I've got so many things in paintings that aren't right. I don't realise until afterwards, but I still won't thank you for pointing it out. I feel quite proud. So you should. I need challenging on that. I need to learn to face everyone's disappointment and accept responsibility for all the terrible things that I've painted. Right, I'm going to put this there. Maybe that's too much colour to go in there. Probably is. Okay, good time for a pause.
Time for the commercial break.
Yes. Would you like a cup of tea and a biscuit, Graham?
Love a cup of tea and a biscuit.
You can't have a biscuit.
There's one right there.
No, you're not allowed them.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll be back in 5 minutes or so.
See you in a few minutes. Imagine this was. Ta-da.
Hello.
Yeah, we were just talking about hyperfocus and flow states and the difference between them. Stuff. Now, that's a good point, actually, because I definitely have a kind of a flow state that's almost running in the background all the time. It's not like a thing starts that wasn't happening before.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the time with painting, there's a part of you, a part of your sort of, operating system, if you like, that is not useful for many things. It can't do many certainly not helpful if you're in a structure. You've got a job that has specific hours and particular tasks at particular times. The part of you that I don't know, I always think of it as the part of me that has ideas, or the daydreaming part of me, or the part of me that's aware of lots of different things all sort of colliding and not necessarily making sense of them. That it's no use to you, It's not the thing that's going to get you to work on time or get your shoes on the right feet. But it's always there. It's always in the background, and letting it take charge at the appropriate times is the key. Because if you can't let go of the sort of organized, results-focused, accountable part of you, that bit can't paint. It can't make stuff. It can only do something that's already been done before, that has a list attached to it, which is really helpful. And all of us have that, and all of us probably have that. However messed up your head is, it's still that part of you that's in charge most of the time, or you wouldn't be able to function at all. But I think there is this element of, what would you call it? Not disorder, but it's an absence of order.
Yeah.
So things aren't unordered. They're not. The things are unordered rather than disordered. So, yeah, there's different things going on. I find that quite interesting. And the more you do something, especially sort of creative things, the more you learn to put that bit of you in charge.
But is it the sort of thing that once you lose a little bit of that of spark for it, like if you're out of that zone for too long, it takes ages to then get back into it? For you, at least.
No. Okay. So what I find, and I guess everyone's probably a little bit different, but what I find is if I'm interrupted, it's like I have to start again from the beginning in some ways. But in other ways, that's not the same as the flow state thing. So I can go straight back into a flow state, but it's like collecting stones on a beach. If someone interrupts you, it's like they're taking away your bucket and throwing all the stones away. Now I can go straight back to collecting stones, but I'm starting from the beginning. And the last stone I picked up will affect the next stone I picked up. And after a while, I'll see a pattern in the stones, and then something about it's almost something that it really is that sort of that ordinary. That's the thing. It's not like I think people like to sort of play up the artist's journey as this being this sort of this epic struggle and this, that, and the other. And I don't really see it like that. But so there is a thing that if I'm interrupted, I do kind of have to start again. Or I don't know. No, it's not even starting again. How would I put this? This is confusing me now. It's that when I go back to it, I'm now doing a new thing.
Okay.
If I were halfway through a painting and I was properly distracted, and someone said, "Okay, I need you to get in your car and go and do this thing," or called in to do a job or whatever it might be, and then I got home and went, "Right, so should I carry on with that painting?" It's a new painting now. It's no longer the thing I was doing, and the aims and the priorities that were in charge before have changed, and so that flow state is back, but it's not pointing in the same direction.
That's interesting.
I'm picking up different pebbles. Yeah, put it that way.
That's, I mean, that there that I'm picking up different pebbles is almost like a sort of life quote. Just
Well, anyone can imagine
not
picking up.
not in the same flow state. I'm just picking up different pebbles.
Yeah, but the process of what you're doing is relatively unchanged.
I went through a stage when I was younger where if somebody, like, I got so into films and TV shows, and when I was watching them, that if somebody sort of disrupted my sort of intense watching them, I'd have to start it again.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I think
that's not a different, like,
no, but
focus.
maybe it's that. Well, why do we watch a film more than once? We don't have exactly the same experience every time we watch it.
Yeah, you would have thought that you would actually have had a lesser experience every single time that you watch it.
No, but you discover new things.
You run out of paint
that you didn't know before. Oh, I have another tube of this. It's okay. I've got a little backup. I ought to do the little studio tour sometime, oughtn't I? I'll go to my special cupboard. What I can do is I can keep this lid, and I can use it to replace the missing lid from the Viridian, which keeps getting all over everything. At least I could if I could get the plastic outside of that off, which I can't right now. I'm not going to worry about it now. Oh, here we are. Bit more cad red. Where else have I missed this? A little bit there. Okay, hopefully that's making sense of that. Weirdly, now I come and sit down again. For everything I was saying, this is a bit like a new painting in some ways. In that I'm seeing this fresh. Still can't get that red bright enough. I don't know what to do about it. I think more white and yellow. Before I do that, go back to this grey brown colour. Let's into a few little textures and have you darken a bit of a crease in there. And while I do that, is it this one too? I have to get even darker than that. Now there's paint on the surface, I can kind of overdo it a bit with the
What do you mean by that? Now that there's paint on the surface?
well, okay. If I've got some textures and things I want to put in, I could mix the exact color of those little detaily. I won't say details because they're not really details. Those sort of textural bits, like the grooves on the surface, and the first mark that goes down will kind of be that color. Subsequent one will be a bit of a mix,
Right.
and
okay.
after a while, there's less paint coming off the brush, and it's sort of mixing on the surface. So take that down. And so I can take some of that texture and I can mix it in. That's okay. I should be able to find that color again, even if I can't. Get those lights in. Where it's too light, I can mix it in again. Too much. And that is, I think I've lost my place now. I overdid it again. But there's a hint at there being not just a flat top of the biscuit, but a bit more orange there. Yeah, there's a bit more, bit of texture to it. Even go in or in here. That's rather interesting. An edge to the. Okay, yeah, I don't think that's helping any now. Hasn't improved anything at all. Right, right. Ah, yeah. Now I had this background color. I'm going to go back in with a bit of that. Oh no, that's the shadow one. It's not as dark. And place that edge there. Nice effect. That shadow wants to be lighter than the edge of the biscuit. So still come across as a shadow. And the biscuit will sit there happily. That's okay. It's very subtle, a lot of this stuff. What else is going on here? Okay, I'll get a bit of this this grey, a bit of this background colour. I can put in there. There we go. And that should be suitably greyed off to look like white writing. Make it a bit darker, a bit greyer. Matches tonally. Anything else? Yeah. I'm doing too many details now. This is a bit much. I'm going to go in with some of the brighter lights. And again, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to wash this brush. And those bright lights have a kind of a they have exactly he bloody knows. Said to him enough times. Music playing, engine running. Okay. Just get very annoyed by inconsiderate people. Where was I? Yeah. I've got these little highlight bits, these little reflective parts of the plastic packaging that are specular highlights. They're reflecting the actual light source itself, about as bright as it will go. The writing isn't, so if I look at the digestive bit here, the white of the writing isn't as light as the shine that goes across it. So it's still got to be sort of one step darker than than the white. And it's got this slight greenish quality. Well, maybe that's okay. It's a slightly bluish quality. Give this a go. How this plays out. And again, there's colours in the background. So if I start with the brightest bits, brighter bit on the top of that Y, and a bit there. A little flash of it just along the edge. I reloaded my brush, so let's next go. Mixed on the surface a little bit, so it won't be quite as bright as what went on before. A slightly warmer colour. Light shapes on there. Good. Anywhere else? Yeah, the digestive biscuitness is starting to emerge. I'm going to put a few here. That's peachy in there. It's almost as bright as the highlights. Bit of that in. Start with the brightest bit, which goes along that edge. Maybe that paint could be thicker. Good. Just doing this as a brush mix, so I'm not mixing tons of the stuff. Do for that. Bit of that one. We've got a bit of variation with the lights as they come across. It's a darker one because there's sort of this bottom there. Anything else? No. Lighten up a little bit. Quite pink, brighter than that. Really fine-tuned tonal changes here. Yeah, I'm looking for other places where this colour goes, but I'm simply not finding it. Now this looks brighter. That's a rather interesting thing to find. Have I got a yellow brush? I have. Back to this yellow. I had this bright yellow that I mixed, and then I didn't really dare use it anyway. That one, especially. Yeah. Not much. See where else did it goes? Bit there. On that's not really doing anything. Okay. So the very last bits are going to be the bright light reflection. Maybe one across there. Drag across a bit. Here as well. Flash off the side of that. Across here, it's got this sort of funny zigzaggy quality because of the nature of the plastic and how it shines. What about that? Dab of it there. Edge. And then there's a place where it does actually mix in a little bit. So I'm going to make a slightly bluer one here. Let's give us these. No, that's too much. Make it bluer. White's quite powerful. That in there. Flashes here. And then I'm going to use a bit of this background colour. That's sort of reflecting. More light out for this blue.
A comment from Josie today.
Huh?
A comment from Josie today.
Oh, probably watching with disgust. Oh no, no. Hopefully, well, might be in our own studio doing some stuff. I'm always gratified by how supportive and just to be kind of always busy and running around and somehow always cheerful about it. So, an inspiration. Oh, there we go. A bit biscuity, isn't it?
3 clapping hand emojis from Dory.
Oh, that's nice. It's the little highlights at the end do really make a difference. I can turn up that brightness a little bit. Now that red's in, it's giving a context. I can make this a little bit brighter. No, actually, it's quite a peachy colour on the palette. The extra yellow. Will allow this to sort of out of it. I'm gradually steering it in slightly different directions. Not going to do much more than that, I don't think. Last bits. Last bits. I tell you what, while I've got this red on, I'll get some of that background colour as well, because that's what reflecting it slightly. We can put a bit of that in here. Mute down what's in the shadow side a bit more. Any other? Ooh, yes, a few other little bits and pieces. Go back to this light I mixed. Yeah, no, I'm fiddling with nothing now. I think is that done? I think it's done. I think it's done. Does the background need to go a bit brighter still? You know, I'll get some of this background color and I'll just make a brighter one so I've got it there if I need it. Bit of yellow, bit of white into it. Other than that, ostensibly the same color, just a slight variation on it. Even I said it's going to mix on the surface. I've already got 2 layers of background color on. Hoping this works. Yeah, there's still a dark edge right next to this, so it's sort of helping that the edges of the biscuit packet show up, but I can throw a bit more light into here. I'm going to go even further with it now. Brush mix, more white, more yellow. Really throw it into here, and it's mixing on the surface, so it's being very forgiving. Go against it. Mark there. Yeah. Same kind of thing. Okay, yeah.
It's really amazing how that pops it out. It just brings it completely out of the canvas. And
What does? You mean the change in background color?
well, yeah, the change of background color, but the way that you do it, so that it's not just sort of I'm going around it.
Oh yeah.
Like because we discussed this, was it last week, the week before, and not doing hard edges, it's going against it. And
Yeah, well, every mark has to be meaningful in some way. So the background is doing a job. It's surrounding the thing. And sometimes you want it to just disappear. So sometimes I really would smooth it out flat. But with something like this, you kind of want it to interact. You know, you want it to feel like it's been supported in the underneath. The background is very much doing this job of giving it context and surrounding it. Very, very hard to sort of pick out exactly what's going on. Bit of light there. Not light enough. Do it. Okay, now I am fiddling. I do want these highlights to look right. Stop for doing more, I'll wreck it. I'm going to sign it in red. I think. Oh no, I'll use the blue.
I really like this one.
Thank you. Well, of course, nobody would have seen. I was kind of agonizing 10 minutes before I started this. Because the more I try and think about what to paint, the more these unwelcome ideas get in the way. And it's not really what you paint, it's how you paint it. Finding that thing that is interesting. and he's interesting visually, not just in terms of. So as I move around, I'm seeing other things. I'm going to sneak in a few final little highlights. Yeah, I think that will help. Generally, that didn't. Baggy shapes. That's fine. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah, if people were to leave a message, I think "stop fiddling" would be enough. That would be usually what I get everyone to shout out when I do a demonstration. It's like a pantomime at the end. Leave it alone. Stop fiddling. Done. Yeah.
Again, that's somebody else screaming at their computer monitor.
Yes, exactly.
Leave it alone.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, there's a limit to how good a painting can be, and there's always that better painting in your head that it could have been, and you would kind of keep thinking, well, if I just did this, maybe it would become that painting. But you've got to recognise the limits, and it's done with a limited period of time. Well.
Want to do the phone cam?
Yeah, should we have a little zoom in?
Oh,
Are we phone cam?
we are phone cam.
Yeah, the camera didn't fail halfway through today, so which one am I looking at?
Sorry, I'll take it off studio mode. There we are.
Ah, thank you. All right, so from my point of view, if I try and get this where my head is, that's my subject matter, and please. So yes, you wouldn't think, oh, what a great subject. If I took that to someone, to a class and set it up as a still life, well, actually, no. People that come to my classes would engage with that, I think. But yeah, so if I have a proper look at it,
Thick paint this evening, isn't it?
well, not that thick, because it's on a panel. It does all show up.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
those colours, and if I look at the palette, it's quite peachy there. That's the cadmium red, and that's hardly anywhere on the surface. Maybe that little mark there, cad red. So the red is sort of inferred. I like
the top
little,
of the packet's amazing.
That little
it's
zigzag.
really good.
And hopefully it does come across as you'd recognise. Well, there's a clue there as to what kind of biscuits they are. Hopefully you can see the thickness of the biscuit.
The Carolina Stable, do you know her?
Perhaps I should, and I don't.
On YouTube. Lovely painting. Thank you for sharing your painting process with us. Much appreciated.
Oh, well, thank you. It's very, very nice to hear that. And yeah, do have a rummage around if you find things you like. If there's any suggestions for paintings, that is, other than yeah, long walk off a short pier or anything like that. I've heard them before. Yeah, do get in touch. Do leave little comments and bits and pieces like that. Love to hear them.
And any suggestions on what to paint next?
Yeah. I like a challenge, and I think I need it at the moment because I've had a bit of a fallow period. Not a fallow period. I've been busy doing like proper work stuff. So I've decided I hate, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'll do the minimum, and then spend the rest of the time painting. No, I want to do some other. I'd quite like to do some more portraits. Fun. And yeah, maybe if there's a particular subject matter, especially if it's from life, and especially if it's a thing I can put on a table. Things where I suppose there's some subject matters that it's hard to imagine how you would do it without immense amounts of detail. And yet there's often ways. So the bunch of grapes is always a classic. Maybe I'll do a bunch of grapes sometime. Or the martini glass full of baked beans, but I've done that and I don't like to repeat myself. Yeah, I'll put this in a frame and I'll stick it in the bean shop tomorrow, and I'll probably Instagram it as well. I might start eBaying these as well.
Well, that's a good shout.
I thought it'd be quite fun,
Mm.
and I give some of the money to charity.
That sort of build up to Christmas type.
Well, it'd just be a nice thing to. I like doing them. I don't want to keep them all. I don't think they're essentially sort of my valuable work, but I think they're things that people would like.
Mm.
And yeah, and there's a lot of things that wouldn't. I don't think any galleries I show with, not the regular. No, there's a few galleries where you can buy my stuff, but they wouldn't have something like this because they wouldn't. I think they would sell it, but they've got their customers and they've got their kind of thing they sell, and empty packets of biscuits. I'm never going to stop doing this stuff, and I think it's some of my more interesting things. So yeah, so if bids are welcome and all the rest of it. So yeah, so I might set that up properly.
Well, you could do the is it silent auction or sealed bid auction that you do at Sherwin Antique Market, but do it in Bean Shop.
It takes a bit of organising, and also I prefer to just use the Bean Shop to just show stuff because people can engage with it. They don't feel under pressure to. It's not like I'm selling it. I mean, it's for sale, but I'm not selling it. There's a difference between those two things. But yeah, I thought the idea of having an eBay thing would be quite fun. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I will. Maybe I'll sort it out, and yeah, you pick up a bargain and do something. Help save some donkeys as well.
There's donkeys at Christmas. Anyway, brilliant. Thank you very much for joining.